discuss of the key concepts of existentialism, then the existentialism view of human nature, and one theory of Viktor Frankl's, that is existentialism theory, then logotherapy, what are the techniques of logotherapy, and role maze therapy. These are the topics we will discuss today. First of all, existentialism. Actually, we know this existentialism is the backbone of this existentialism, or the origin of this existentialism is from philosophy. As we know, we are all aware of the fact. Psychology was the one branch of philosophy in ancient olden days. So we have some in philosophy. There are some schools of philosophy. One is idealistic school, then naturalism school, then pragmatism school of philosophy. Same way, existentialism is also one perspective of philosophy. Existentialism, the philosophical foundation of existentialism approach, originated from the work of philosophers, such as some philosophers, as we know, like Plato, Aristotle, Socrates. They're all the ancient philosophers. These existentialism also, that is the concept of philosophy, existentialism. That is, Seren is another important psychologist. Friedrich is another important philosopher. Those are all famous philosophers in the ancient days. So existentialism psychology adapted and expanded from the philosophical ideas, applying the philosophical ideas in the human personality. The existentialism, as I mentioned, existentialism is one approach in philosophy. Yes, idealistic approach of philosophy, pragmatic approach of philosophy. Same way, existentialism also one school of philosophy, one ism of philosophy. Existentialism is applicable in psychology also. Existentialism has philosophical foundation, but it is applied in the human psychology, how the human psychology and the development of personality, how the personality of individuals. So here existentialism psychology asserts that individuals have the capacity to shape their lives, their lives thought, conscious. So whatever their is in an individual, they have their own capabilities of their life. So the first concept of existentialism is the existence and subjectivity. The first key concept of existentialism is existence and subjectivity. Existentialism emphasizes the existence of the individual as a unique being with subjective experience. Every individual is having unique qualities according to the existentialism. It highlights the importance of personal perspective, subjective meaning, and his own experience, individual's own experience. The first key concept of existentialism is that existence and subjectivity means the individual having its own capabilities, that is his or her own experiences. Existentialism focusing on the individual's capabilities and their own experience. It also known as the subjective experience, means his or her own experience. That is the first key concept of existentialism. Then second is freedom and choice. Individual is having his own freedom. Existentialism recognizes human freedom and the capacity for the individuals to make choices. Every human being has its own experience. Out of their own experience, out of their own freedom of choosing the various options in his future course of life. It emphasizes that individuals have the freedom to shape their personalities, to shape their lives, and they take their responsibility of their modifying of their life. Number one is existence and subjectivity. Second is freedom and choice, freedom of every individual to have their own choices. Then third one is responsibility and authenticity. The person, the individual has its own responsibility and the need for individuals to act authentically or his own capabilities. Authentically involves the living in accordance with one's their own self and their own based on their own self, based on their own values, based on their own beliefs, based on their own capacities. So first one is existentialism and subjectivity. Second is freedom and choice. Third key concept of existentialism is responsibility and authenticity. Then fourth one is anxiety and dread. Anxiety. Actually, the anxiety is the negative emotion of our actual psychology. But whereas in this existentialism theory, in the existentialism concept, key concept of existentialism, fourth key, anxiety means existentialism acknowledge the presence of existentialism anxiety. Why anxiety arises from the awareness of human limitations, the uncertainty of existentialism, and the responsibility of individual have for their choices. Existentialists view anxiety not as a problem, but to be solved, but as an inherent part of human existence. Human is existence. That is the reason he'll have some sort of anxiety. So anxiety is a negative, not in the negative aspect of existence. It is one important characteristic of any individual. They have their own anxiety. That is the reason they'll try to do something out of their anxiety. So anxiety is the positive symptom of this particular existentialism concept. Fifth one is search for meaning and purpose. Always the individual searches, he will always try to search for meaning and purpose. Meaning and purpose of their life. Existentialism focus on the search for meaning and purpose of life. Okay. So, and the relationship with the other humans, that is also one important key concept of this existentialism. And death and mortality. Existentialism confronts the reality of the human mortality and the awareness of death. It recognizes that the knowledge of our finite existence influence our choices, priorities, and the quest for a meaningful life. Complaining from the mortality can lead individuals to refer on the significance of their actions and the urgency of life. As per the age is advancing, the individuals, they know about their mortality. That is the reason they will try to do something in an urgency manner, in an immediate manner. So that is another important key concept of existentialism. Other principle of existentialism is that in human nature, human potential, every human being have their own potentialities. They need to identify their potentialities. Freedom and responsibility. Out of their potentiality, they will have their own freedom of getting choices. They will choose their own choices. So they will take the responsibility of, because they themselves choose their own options. That is the reason they will have their own responsibility also. Controlling their own powers. That is another important key concept of existentialism. I repeat once again the key concepts of existentialism. One is existence and subjectivity. Number two, freedom of choice. Number three, responsibility and authenticity. Fourth one is anxiety. Anxiety is the positive uh, aspect of this existentialism, because due to the anxiety only, the individual is ready to do something out of their anxiety. They wanted to do something in their own life. then search for meaning and purpose of their life. That is the other concept, key concept of existentialism. Death for mortality. So they are aware of their mortality. They have their own responsibility. That is the reason as the age is advanced, so they'll ready to do their own choices, or you can say their goal. They wanted to reach their goals. Then human potentiality is always the plays the major part in this existentialism. Another so these are all the major existential these key concepts of existentialism. Some theories and theoretical aspects of this existentialism is that Viktor Frankl's theory. Victor Frankl was an Australian psychiatrist, and he developed the existentialism approach known as logotherapy, which focused on the search for meaning in life. So here in this Viktor Frankl's theory, such as, or you can say it is known as the approach of logotherapy. It focuses on the search for meaning in life. As I mentioned, the key concept of existentialism is that searching for meaning of life. Okay, so here, based on this searching for meaning of life, Viktor Frankl theory is that here he focused on the meaning and centered existence. Meaning and centered existence. Franklin proposed that the primary motivation for individuals is the search for meaning. Frankl argued that individuals can find meaning in life through work, relationship, and by doing something on their own responsible, on their own choices. He emphasized that a sense of meaning provides individuals with the strength to endure sufferings and pressure personal growth. So out of their own capabilities, they'll search for meaning of life. Then they will always try to do something for the personal growth, according to this Viktor Frankl's theory of existentialism. Then the second one is the logotherapy. Frankl's most significant contribution to psychology is the development of logotherapy, which is existentialism therapeutic approach. Logotherapy is based on the individuals are motivated by the search for meaning. Logotherapy aims to help individuals to discover meaning and purpose in their life. It encourages individuals to take responsibility for their choices and attitudes and find meaning even difficult circumstances also. See, even in the intellectual aspects also, some sort of cognitive part also. As I mentioned yesterday, cognitive means intellectual this domain. The intellectual, or you can say the one meaning of intelligence is that act in a critical situation. How we are adjusting the critical situation, the critical circumstances. Intellectual aspects are needed when we are in the critical, when we are in the complex situation. Here in this existential logotherapy also, it encourages the individuals to take responsibility for choices and attitude and find meaning in the difficult situation, or you can say difficult circumstances. So in normal circumstances, normal situation, no need of any intellectual aspects, no need of any focusing on your capabilities. If you have the capabilities, those competencies, you are supposed to use in the difficult circumstances. Okay, freedom of attitude. So Frankl highlights that individuals have the freedom to choose their attitudes and responses, even in the of difficult circumstances. He argued that while individuals may not have control over external events, they can choose their internal attitudes and find meaning in how they respond to the life challenges. So here, generally, what we believe, if you have a particular attitude that may be accepted by the other humans or not. But here, according to this theory, what are the attitudes, what are their capabilities, you need to take the responsibility of your own attitudes. So here, logotherapy, freedom of will. Logotherapy, freedom of, there are three important these uh, concepts of logotherapy. One is freedom of will, then freedom of will to meaning, the meaning in life, freedom of will. You have your own choice of willing, whether you are accepting that particular choice or not. That is your choice. That is you have to decide it. You are the responsible person to take your choices. So freedom of will, freedom in the context is defined as a space to shape one's own life with limitations of your specific possibility. You have your own possibilities. You can choose your possibilities. That is freedom of will. Will to meaning states that humans are free to achieve goal and purpose in life. Will to meaning, frustration, aggression. So, for example, frustration, aggression, and other depressive symptoms. If you have conflict of will, if you compare your own capabilities to others in the society, then only some sort of depressive symptoms, some sort of aggression, some sort of addiction, some sort of negative feelings may rise. But whereas if you have your own choice out of your capabilities, so nothing to worry, no need of any negative symptoms. So here, will to meaning. First one is freedom of will. Second is the will to meaning. Then meaning in life. Meaning in life is based on the idea that meaning is an objective reality rather than the merely an illusion or a personal perception. Humans have both freedom and responsibility to bring forth their best possible selves by realizing the meaning of the moment in every situation. If you want to live in your own life, out of your response, out of your capabilities, out of your competencies, you don't have any conflicts. When you are comparing to the others, so there is a chance of getting some sort of negative thinking or thoughts. So logotherapy technique is that meaning in life, will to meaning, then freedom of will. So these are the main key concepts of logotherapy. Even in the logotherapy also gives importance to the Socratic dialogue. Socratic dialogue, which, as I mentioned, Socrates is also a major ancient philosopher. Socratic dialogue is a tool in logotherapy that walks a client through a process of self-discovery in their own words. It is different from Socratic questioning, which is often used in the CBT, that is CBT, that is cognitive behavior therapy. Socratic questioning breaks down anxiety or negative thoughts, while Socratic dialogue is used to find meaning within a conversation. See, any individual, why they'll have their depression or you can say negative emotions means if the chances of sharing is not possible, opportunity of sharing their own feelings, emotions, there the problem will start. But here in the Socratic way of dialogue is that whatever your emotions, better to share with others, whether they accept it or that is different matter. But out of your knowledge, out of your capabilities, you better to share your emotion. It is nothing but questioning dialogue, you can say. Okay, so here Socratic questioning breaks down anxiety. Then, if you have any doubt, if you have any question, you better to clarify your doubt. You better to ask the questions in a systematic so that your anxiety will be reduced. It allows the client in to realize the anxiety or it already have the answer. If they have already answers from their own capabilities, out of their own intellectual capabilities, or by asking questions to others, if their problem is solved or if their problem, if their answer, if their question is resolved, so the anxiety will be reduced according to this logo therapy. The other first one is, as I mentioned, first one is Viktor Frankl's theory, that is the logotherapy. Then second one is that Rollo-May theory. So here in this theory, he explores the challenges individuals face in the modern world and the importance of personal authenticity. Some key roles mentioned in this balance between the darkness and light, experience and the intellectual. So experience and intellectual is the major part in this role-based theory. So how the individual get the intellectual aspects? For example, as I mentioned the 2 days back class also, learning is two important factors in the learning. One is training, second is our own experience. When we learn something, our intellectual aspects will be highlighted, or you can say will be increased. So here, experience and the intelligence. We will get the intelligence by our own experience. When we are getting experience, so day by day, stage wise, automatically our intellectual aspects will be increased. So here, Rollo-May's theory is that when we are having the balance between our darkness and light, darkness means if you don't have darkness means here negative part, light is the positive part. For example, if the individual is not in a position to understand something, he will be in the dark. Means no idea about the particular aspect. When they are having the proper understanding about that, they'll be in the light. They'll be in the positive side. That means their intellectual capabilities are enhanced. So here, intelligence and experience. Through the intelligence and experiences, the light and the balance between the light and the darkness. So existentialism is the one important part. Existence, again I am repeating, existence means existentialism is basically that is depending on the person's existence, individual's existence, subjective experience. So here, anxiety and courage, and again it is repeated here in this theory also. Anxiety and courage is a positive sign. Anxiety and courage leads the achievement in their own life. Anxiety and courage, he recognized that anxiety is the inherent aspect of human existence. We have our own capabilities of having their own capabilities of their achievement something. So he argued that anxiety arises from the confrontation with life's meaning. So when we are having anxiety, that means we are ready to do something out of our anxiety, out of our interest. So we want to do something in their own life. So freedom is the another important in this theory of Rollo-May's. So authenticity means you can say autonomy. Autonomy or authenticity leads self-discovery. Any creative person, like any person who is creative, we know the minimum what is basic concept of creativity is the intelligence. When they are having their intelligence, if they are ready to use their intellectual aspects on their own way, that is creative. So here in this part of Rollo-May's theory, authenticity and self-discovery. Self-discovery is nothing but creativity. May emphasize the significance of authenticity and self-discovery in living a fulfillment of their own goals. Here in Rollo-May's theory, another three important aspects is the physical world, social world, and personal world. Physical world related to the physical aspects, like materialistic aspects. Okay, this is one model of existence according to the Rollo-May's theory, Rollmays theory. Second is social world. Social world means in the interaction with the other human beings. Social world. First one is physical world, or you can say materialistic world. Second is the Social world means how you are maintaining our interaction with the other members in the society. Then third one is personal world. It is the interaction within your own self. First of all, we as a human being, first we need to understand our own self in a better manner. Some individuals, they don't know what are they. When we ask the questions of some individuals, just explain about yourself. You introduce yourself. When we ask this question to some individuals, they will be in a confused state. They are not in a position to identify their own self. What are their positives? What are their negatives? In some cases, they will, when you ask the question, when we ask the question, you just tell about you. Introduce yourself. Always they'll tell about their own negative aspects. But here, first of all, we need to identify our capabilities. Maybe person may be that 20 years, 30 years, whatever the age may be, but he is supposed to identify their own positives as well as negatives. What happens if we identify our positive? There may be chance of improving their positive aspects. There may be also chance of reducing our negative. So, but first of all, we need, it is nothing but introspection. Introspection means identify our own self. We have some methods of psychology. As a psychologist, as a psychological professionals, we are supposed to identify our own self first. Then only it is easy to give proper services to other humans. And the same way, we need to identify the others' positives or negatives. It is our responsibility. It is our functionings of giving psychological counseling. So in order to resolve their issues, in order to give psychological counseling, that is our area, that is our role, to analyze various aspects of the client or patient, or you can say individuals. So same wise here also in existentialism, especially in this theory of Rollo Mays, one is physical world. What are the physical world, materialistic world? How you are choosing your physical area or physical environment is a person's interaction with the physical world. Physical world means how you are interacting with the materialistic world, how you are having idea about the materialistic world. That means how materialistic world means it's a basic physical needs. Physical world is nothing but physical needs, basic needs. How you are having your physical, how you are getting the physical needs. That's number one. Number two is social world. How the interaction of the individuals with their other human beings in their own world, in their society. Maybe unrealistic construct of relationship, maybe realistic. And how the individual choose to be in relationship. That is your choice. This comes under the social world. Third one is personal world. Is the interaction with your own self. How you identify yourself. So these Rollo May's stages of development. So here Rollo May is the only existentialism psychologist who discuss certain stages in the life, or you can stages of development. First one is innocence. Rollo May's stages of development in existentialism. There are so many existential psychologists, but this particular Rollo May propounded, or you can say given some stages of life. First one is innocence. The first stage of Rollo May's stages of development is that innocence. Innocence is the pre-egoic, pre-self-conscious. The innocent is pre-mortal. That means neither bad nor good. Like a wild animal who kills to eat. The innocent is only doing what he or she must do. But an innocent does have degree of will in the sense of a drive to fulfill. And innocent means pre-egocentric, pre-self, pre-self-conscious, like very initial stage, like 1 year, 2 years of age. That is age of a stage of innocence according to the Rollo May's stages of development. Number two, rebellion. It is the childhood and adolescent stage of developing one's ego or self-conscious by means of contracts with adults. So here in this case of, as we know, we have some developmental stages, general developmental stages, like infant stage, childhood stage, in childhood stage also pre-childhood stage, later childhood stage, adolescence, adulthood, middle age, old age. These are the general developmental stage. But whereas here in this stages of Rollo May's existentialism psychology, existentialism psychology, first one is innocence, means it is the pre-egoic. As we know that infant stage is known as the egocentric, the stage of egocentric. But here, innocence is the pre-egocentric stage, means a very initial stage. Okay. Second one is the rebellion. Rebellion is the childhood and adolescent stage of development. According to this Rollo May's, as we know, there are various developmental stages defined by various different psychologies, like cognitive development stages are different. Psychosexual stages of Sigmund Freud are different. Psychosocial development stages of Erikson's are different. Then Kohlberg's theory of moral development is different. There are various stages of development. Same way, here also, Rollo May's stages of existentialism or existence. Okay. So first one is innocence. Second is the rebellion. Third is the ordinary. Ordinary means just like adulthood stage. So ordinary is the normal adult age, or you can say normal adult ego, conventional and little boring. Perhaps they have learned responsibilities, but find it too demanding. And so here in this ordinary, first one is innocence, second is the rebellion, third is the stage of ordinary. Ordinary means normal stage, what is adults. Next one is the fourth one is creative, stage of creativity. In the authentic adult, the existentialism stage beyond ego and self-actualization. This is the person's creative aspects. In this creative, the person who accepting destiny faces anxiety and encourage. He will himself will encourage to do something with a creative mind. That is the fourth stage of Rollo May's existentialism psychology. So in existentialism therapy, so these are all the various theoretical aspects we discussed. Now, in existential therapy, what are the main goals in the therapeutical procedures? First of all, emphasizing on personal responsibility. Emphasizing on the personal responsibility. So when we are giving therapeutical procedures or psychological counseling, so we need to advise, we need to tell the patient or the client or individual. So whatever their choice, whatever their options, so they need to take the responsibility for their own choices. That is, explain or emphasize on the personal responsibility. So this is the one important aspect, one important technique, one important therapeutical procedure in the existential therapy. So existential therapy emphasizes the personal responsibility and the idea that individuals have the freedom to make choices and shape their life. So here we need to explain, we need to emphasize whatever their choices, they need to take the responsibility of their own choices. Number two, focus on the present moment. Existential therapy emphasizes the importance of the being fully present in the here and now. Some cases, they won't be in the present world. Somewhere they're always in the imaginary world. So here as a psychologist, as a counselor, as a therapist, always we need to emphasize the present moment. Ask them to be in the present world. First one is the therapeutic procedure of existence. First one is emphasizing on the personal responsibility. Second is the focusing on the present moment. Then third one is exploration of existential concerns. Existential therapists assist clients in examining the existence concern, such as the search for meaning, the nature of personal identity. So here in this third one is that ask them to identify their own things. What is their meaning of life? We need to explore that the meaning of life they are supposed to identify. Some individuals they don't have proper meaning of life. That is the reason they are always in the imaginary world. So encouraging of authenticity. Fourth one is that encourage them to be authentative. Means based on their own capabilities, they have their own authority on their own life. So encouraging of authenticity, exploration of anxiety and existentialism. So here their anxiety, if they are anxious of doing something in their future course of time or doing something in their future life, so just encourage them that anxiety is not the negative side of their nature. So they are having anxiety to do something, to achieve something. It's not the negative aspect as far as existentialism psychologists are concerned. And integration of meaning and making. Integration of meaning and making. Integration of meaning and making is that existential therapy focus on the helping clients find meaning and purpose of their life. Therapists always assist clients in the explaining their values, beliefs, and the personal narratives, and guide them in the process of creating a living life in a meaningful way. Integration of always we need to integrate various belief systems, attitudes, goals, and values of their particular person to do something in their life. That is integration of meaning and making, meaning and achieving, you can say. If they identify their meaning of life, then in the next way, next order, next stage, they're ready to do something. Then integration of meaning and making, then recognition of freedom and choices. Again, the same thing is repeated. Freedom of choices. Freedom of choices. See, some individuals, they are always in stressful conditions. Why? Because they always compare their, that is their achievements, you can say their style of life, their way of living to some others. There the conflict starts. There the stressful conditions start. First of all, they are supposed to identify their capabilities, their purpose of life. Then only they better to plan. They better to opt their purpose of life, their options. So they don't know. Some of their individuals, they don't know what are their capabilities. That is the reason always they'll see on their other fellow beings. When they compare to the other fellow beings or fellow individuals, there the conflict or the stressful condition or depressive aspects will start. If they identify their own capabilities based on their own capabilities and beliefs and values, they make choices, then it is easy to reach their goals. Then recognition of freedom and choices, integration with other approaches. Existential therapy can be integrated with other therapeutic modalities to address clients' unique needs. So repeatedly, these are all the other important unique needs. Your need or our need may be different. So every individual having their own capabilities, every individual having their own needs. The need fulfillment is different from individual to other individuals. When they are identify their own needs and they'll try to achieve those and they'll try to approach in their own life in order to fulfill their needs or you can say goals. So existentialism always give emphasis on the individual's own capabilities, needs, and their purpose of life. In some cases, as we are uh, giving that is counseling, psychological counseling, when we are asking some questions about their own life, about their own capabilities, they may not in a position to identify their own self. First of all, identifying their capabilities, their unique qualities, their unique needs in their choices. That is so important. As a therapist, as a psychologist, as a counselor, that is our role to explore them, to identify the other various needs in their life, their potentials in their life. Any doubt? Existentialism, I repeat, focusing on the existentialism, focusing on their uniqueness. Existentialism always focusing on the meaning of life. Existentialism recognizing the freedom and choice of human beings. Existentialism always focusing on the personal responsibility. Existentialism always focusing on their own choices of life. Okay. So with this third block is completed. Now the fourth block, just only I'll give some rough idea about this fourth block. That is, so here in this fourth block, block 4, there are some approaches like Gestalt approach, Eastern approach, and contemporary approaches of this therapy, that is approach of the personalities. So as we know, Gestalt approach is that. So we already we have in the previous is years of first and second year psychology, this PD psychology. The term Gestalt meaning means holistic, integrated. Why it is integrated? Why it is holistic? Why it is coordinated? Means get the term Gestalt itself is it is the term Gestalt is derived from the German word, which is the English meaning means that it is derived from the German word, which means holistic, integrated. Three psychologists developed this Gestalt therapy, Gestalt theory, you can say. One is Wertheimer, Wertheimer, Wertheimer. Another one is Kohler, Kohler. Then Kofko, Kof, Ko. Okay. So that as I mentioned, the Gestalt is a German word which means holistic or integrated. Why holistic? For example, if you observe a person's personality, as we know, personality is the complex aspect of any individual, which is physical, psychological, emotional, social, and moral. These are all the various domains of the human being. If you check only, if you verify, if you observe only physical aspects of any individual, it's not so easy to understand the personality of that individual. In holistic manner only, we need to observe the personality of an individual. Means, already you know, personality is derived from the Latin word persona, which means mask. In ancient Greek dramas, they used to wear masks based on depending on the role of the drama. The actual person is different, but according to the role in their particular Greek drama, in ancient Greek dramas, they used to wear some type of dresses, some type of masks. The actual person is different, the mask is different. Mask is depending on their role of the drama. When we remove the mask of the individual, then only it is easy to observe the actual personality of the person. So that is the reason persona is the actual origin of personality. Even in assessment of personality also, we will discuss the assessment of personality in the last block. It's not so easy to just observe the outer world of the person. That means physical world of the person, materialistic of the person. The inner world as well as the outer world, both areas, if we observe, then only it is easy to identify to assess the actual personality of an individual. In Gestalt therapy, or you can say Gestalt approach of personality, holistic manner only, we need to check, we need to observe. Then only you can identify the actual personality of the individual. So Gestalt theory emphasizes that the whole of anything is greater than its part. The core belief of this, the core concept of the Gestalt is the holism. Here, whole of anything, whole of any aspect is greater than its part. That is the main objective of the Gestalt theory. The main advantage of Gestalt theory is its ability to help individuals in understanding the overall personification of the individual. By understanding concepts, you will gain insight into your surroundings and therefore become aware of things around you. You will notice pattern and relationship that exist among objects and events. Gestalt therapeutic theory is actually based on the principle of perceptual organism. Gestalt psychology focus on how our minds organize, interpret visual and auditory data. It emphasizes that the whole of anything is greater than its part. When we are observing one important aspect, you need to think holistic manner. You need to observe in the holistic way. Why in the Gestalt theory, the Gestalt principle, holistic or whole is greater than its part. Whole thing is greater than its part. When we see any aspect, anything, so better to see, better to observe in a holistic manner. In a holistic manner. According to this theory, this apparent movement happens because our minds. So if you want to focus only a small part of the thing, only a one area of individual's life, it's not so easy to identify the holistic way of that object, that thing, or any individual. There are some laws of this perceptual, how you are perceiving any object, how you are perceiving anything, how you are perceiving any incident, how you are perceiving any individual. There are some principles of perceptual organism or perceptual organization. One is laws of similarity. In the principle of perceptual organization, law of similarity. In this principle, similar things tend to appear grouped together. Grouping can occur in both visual and auditory stimulus. In the above image, if you see the image in a similar way, law of similarity is that in this principle of law of similarity, similar things tend to appear grouped together. That is number one. Then law of continuity. This law of continuity holds that the points that are connected by straight or curving lines are seen in the way they follow the smoothest path. Law of closure. When the things are very close, so you can't see the holistic thing. So law of closure, law of continuity, law of similarity. So here some examples of the Gestalt laws, Gestalt principle of the law of similarity. In this principle, similar things tend to appear the same way if they group together. That is number one. Number two is that law of continuity. This law holds that points that are concerned by straight or curving lines are seen in a way that following the smoothest path. In other words, element in a line or curve seem more related to one another than those positioned randomly. Law of continuity will give the different perception of the particular object. Another one is that law of closure. In closure, we perceive elements as belonging to the same group. That is, if it is the elements or the objects or the things are in the closure way, closure manner, in the closed area, so our perception may be somehow different. Then law of common region, even though the elements are located in the same closed region, we perceive them as belonging to the same group. Looking at the image, looking at any object, we can see the circles are light next to each other. So whenever we are seeing some object, whenever we are observing something, whenever you are perceiving some incident, whenever we are perceiving some individuals. So our perception depends on these various principles. Law of continuity, law of closure, law of common region, law of similarity. So organic theory of this Gestalt is that, so when we perceive anything, when we perceive any object, when we perceive any individual, when we observe any situations, so how you are taking that particular object, how your perception,